I am so irate. I literally just recorded a lot of this video, maybe like 15, 20 minutes, and it was half of it was mute, and it's a frustration for me. But it means so much to me that I'm recording it again. And again, I talk everything off the cuff. There's no notes, there's no anything. It's like literally whatever comes to mind. It's frustrating for me when I've just said an awful lot, like a lot. And I was talking about the fact that so many people, they live a life based on addictions, most unhealed, most unaware, and they can continue to consume so much of their life away from the life they want, but yet they think they're living the dream in some way. They think they're winning when really in life they're losing. So, like for instance, when we think of addictions, most of the time it's like alcohol, drugs, gambling. That's what most people think of addictions. But there's so many other addictions, and one of the most prevalent right now, unhealed. But I also think people are just not aware of it. There's like a bury their head in the sand. I think people, they sort of validate to each other that it's fine. And for me, when I look on, I find it quite horrific, to be honest, just about how toxic it is and how blasé people are about it. And that's gaming. Gaming is a huge addiction. I'm a gamer myself, and I speak upon experience. I've had an addiction most of my life. I was gaming in the 90s when most people thought it was geeky. Like, it was incredibly geeky back then, but I enjoyed it, and I was like, that was where I always spent my time. I was forever playing games, um, and I still play games today. But because I am healed and I'm aware, which I think is more important than the healing, is being aware of it, because then you can literally nip it in the bud when you have to. I can control it. It doesn't control me. I have more of an awareness of what I want for my life, how I'm going to achieve that, and not push people away for a hobby or a distraction, because literally that's what it is, a distraction. It's a distraction from life. It takes you to a different place where you don't have to worry about anything else. I can just focus in and I can enjoy myself. Nothing else matters. But we have to take ownership of that. If nothing else matters, then you have to be prepared, in my opinion, if you're going to allow it to be addiction and consume you continuously, I think you have to be prepared to be single. It's not fair to drag someone else into it. Now, some people would think, well, I'm not doing that. I love this person. Well, what do you love the most? Because you can't have it all, everything all the time. Everything's balanced. If you're not prepared to balance it, then don't expect someone to wait on you. Like I say, I already spoke a lot in the previous recording, but like a family member I was recently talking to, and I said to him, well, if you are going to prioritize it to such an extent, when you're in a relationship, you can't expect someone to just sit around waiting for you. At the moment you're interested in them, now you expect their attention. That's not how the world works, and some people hold themselves to a higher standard than allow someone to treat them like that. Personally, I couldn't do that to someone anyway. I wouldn't do it to them. They're the priority. Now, if their issue stems from a previous relationship rather than something you're doing, then again, that they need to heal it. So it's not always a case that we need to heal. We need to be aware. Other people need to be healed too. But I think sometimes you can create such a habit that you're not even aware of it, and then other people, they get reacting to it. So, for instance, you may hear the game console turn on. There may be just a noise that's triggering a shit, and you might think that's an overreaction. I can't even go on this anymore. Yeah, but what's created that? If you create a balance, then I don't think there's anything wrong. Sometimes like I say, I see content and I get really, really concerned by it. In some ways, it's beautiful when a partner is accepting. So maybe you're playing a video game and your partner comes and sits with you because it's something you enjoy. Now, if they truly enjoy watching and engaging in that way, then great. But if they're doing it just to appease you, and it's incredibly often, then I don't see that as balanced and a beautiful relationship at all. It's very unbalanced. If it's every now and again, like it's a specific night you do that, and it's like a part of a routine, and I don't think it's too bad a deal. But if you did it all the time and all your weekends are consumed by gaming, I think it's a bit worrying. I see some couples where they've got their gaming setups together and that's their lifestyle, and I just think that's mental. But to each their own, because if they're both heavy gamers, then great. But it's like, so for most of those people, though, I just think life passes them by, and that's the part where I find scary. I see people with immense game collections, like these physical collections. It looks really cool on their wall when you see the video content. But I look and do the math a little bit, just a quick math, not like calculating it heavily. But I just look at it and think, I wonder how many holidays they've had. I wonder how many things they do outside of the gaming. I wonder what goals they have. I wonder what relationships they have. Because I can't help but look and think, if you've invested so heavily to such an extent, then even if you're in a relationship, how much has that person had to suffer for you to have that intense collection? Because it's ridiculous. How many holidays have you had? I don't think they have holidays. And again, each to their own. Some people, maybe they don't want those things. But again, I'm a forward thinker, so I look to myself in 10 years' time. What's the life I want to have fulfilled? What are the experiences I wanted to have? And if I allowed a gaming addiction to control me, then all I'd have is a level up in a game, and that's quite sad. So 5 years ago, just over 5 years, maybe 5, 7 years ago, I started to realize that a lot of the time and energy I was putting in towards gaming, if I placed it somewhere else, more productive, I could elevate my life, or at least give myself a chance for something better. And if anything, at least I feel fulfilled and I've achieved something personal. So what I started to do, instead of doing live streaming, because I was trying to, like a lot of gamers, you start to escalate. Maybe you try and create YouTube videos, then maybe you live stream content. And it's not easy for most people. It's like treading water. But in my opinion, at least you're trying to do something with the content, though. I think if you're just gaming for the sake of gaming and it's consumed you to the point where everything else it gets dismissed, and I find that alarming in itself. Of course, there's nuances to it, so I'm not saying it's bad. But likewise, I've come across people who live stream, but they make it it's such a ritual that it destroys their lives. They'll say, I'm live stream every day or most days, 8 a.m., 8 p.m. to midnight or something. And you're like, bloody hell, that's ridiculous. That's your whole evening, every evening. That's not healthy. That's a freaking train wreck. And I've had people that I know who have done that shit. And I'm like, that's mad. I won't do it. I can't. But again, each to their own if you enjoy it. But I actually see them get exhausted. Then they play games they don't even want to play just because they think that's what the audience wants. And again, I think that goes against shit. The audience should be more interested in you rather than the game you play. And then they should be interested in whatever you want. I think if you've got to create content based on an audience, then maybe you've got to look at why you're doing it. Because if you're doing it for attention, validation, to be respected, appreciated, blah, 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 you need to heal that shit. You don't need people to like you. I don't need someone to like me for me to feel valid in what I do. So yeah, there's a lot of healing required, I think, in life in general. But gaming, there's so many nuances to it. It frustrates me witnessing people destroy their lives for something that should be a piece of enjoyment, but they get so bogged down. You know what it is? It's the fact that the content that's created nowadays, the games, the live stream, the media, even like Netflix, it's all created to keep you attached to it. It's to keep you addicted. So games are incredibly long now. You've got subscription services that make you feel you've got to get your money's worth, but also if a game or a movie is going to get removed, you don't want to miss out, so you consume, you stay on it. So all these companies are trying to keep you attached to whether it's the game or whether it's the platform. They literally want you there, glued to their content, so you don't miss out on a payment. That's what they want. They want all your time and resources, and they're not happy if they don't get it, of course. And the prices keep going up, so that attachment becomes a bit crippling, doesn't it? Because now you're really tied to their platform and services. And the way I look at it as well is those who create those platforms, so whoever the CEO of Netflix is, whoever runs Xbox, how many of them really use their own services? Because I guarantee, well, I won't guarantee it, but I bet your life that they're living a better life than those who are using their services. They'll be having holidays, they'll be traveling, they'll be having experiences, they're living a life of grandeur. Meanwhile, you're subservient and you're hooked on a resource that you think is needed, but it's an addiction. And effectively, you're foregoing any ambition. You're losing your life away to something that's so pointless in the end. Because you can level up in a game, but what does it mean in overall scheme of things? You level up on Call of Duty this year, for instance. Now, I see it myself because other people do it, where they'll level up double XP weekend. I want a prestige. I want to get all the guns. I want to unlock all this shit. It's irrelevant crap. Who gives a shit? Either way, you all get a gun. Just run around, have fun. That's how I play. And, some people think that's a loser's mentality because you're not good. I don't want to be good, though. I just want to have fun. I play games to have fun. I don't play games to get obsessed. So you'll still find those that are obsessed, they get really angry when they lose because their life depends on it, because literally they've thrown everything at it. They've literally risked everything to be great at this game. That's a lot of pressure. But also, you'll forgo the actual point of playing it in the first place, which was to have fun. So guess what? I play Call of Duty. I have fun. I could play for an hour. I could play for 2 hours. I could literally just play 2 rounds and leave. It's like, it is what it is. And then I'm happy to play other games, though. I don't just play one. I play single player games. I play all. I've got such a wide range of interests um, that I can bounce around games, but I don't let them destroy me, you know? Like, I like Fortnite because it's balanced. It's not pay to win. Everyone has the same opportunities every match. And I like that. It's fair. I like something that's fair. So when I lose, and I don't, you can't go into a game there's 100 players. You can't expect to win every match. There's 100 people. You know, I win some. Sometimes I come fourth. Sometimes I come third. Sometimes I come 26th. Sometimes I just come and okay, you could die early just because you just landed in a bad place. You didn't have the right weapons. There's more people than you expected, or maybe there's just someone that was just genuinely better, and you just got a bad hand. You just literally landed with the worst player you could have possibly landed with. It's a game. You know, so I don't scream at it and go mental. I just say, ready up, next match. Because no matter how much you kick and scream, there's always another match anyway. So when you get angry and you lose yourself and you feel it's valid, you do so while everybody else has moved on. So you can kick and scream, get really angry, even break your TV, break your controller, do anything you feel is valid, but which is so pointless and irrelevant. Meanwhile, the rest of the world has moved on, continue gaming. So it is what it is. Now, I did say in the other video, it may have been this video, because this is the problem. I don't know what I've said in the previous one now. So the family member who I feel like has got this addiction, and I was talking to him about prioritizing life rather than a game, because you will push relationships away and you will regret it one day if you do so. You may have the love of your life. You took them for granted. You think your game's more important, especially right now. And that escalates. It becomes continuous, habitual. Habits are hard to break. That's why it becomes an addiction. So anyway, the other person doesn't feel valued. You're actually not valuing them, and then you don't even realize you was pushing them away, and you didn't respect them, even though you may have love for them. You didn't show it. So we recently had something else happen. He had a McDonald's delivered, and it arrived cold. So he put a complaint in, requesting a refund and all this. But to validate to himself and everybody else around them, it was cold, so they just refused to eat it. They were just throwing a fit all the time. And I said, why don't you just eat it, though? Like, if it's just a little cold, just eat it. You know, you've already put your request in. And they were like, it was the principle and all this shit. And about 10 minutes later, I went to eat it, and it said, it's freezing. And he was getting angry even more. And I was like, yeah, it's freezing because you didn't eat it when it was just a bit cold. Now it's bloody freezing. It's your own fault because you spite yourself. Again, it's the same thing. If you look at that, now most people looking at that would think that's absolutely crazy. Like, why would you spite yourself like that? Now attach that to your games and your streaming platforms and whatever other addiction you've got going on, and think, why would you do that to yourself? Because I think the way you've got to look at life, and I know it's critical thinking. This is how I live, though. You've got to look at what it is you actually want for yourself. I'm a transparent person. I just say it like it is. You know, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just talking from experience and where I want to be. So like I said before, rather than live stream and focus so heavily on gaming, I'll have periods where I do. But since then, I started to put the time and energy towards more creative pursuits, things that actually fulfill me. What do I want to achieve? What would be my biggest goal, my dream? I wrote a book, and that pushed me on the path to say, you can do that. And now I do that every year. Even if I want a game, for instance, if I've set something in motion, that's going to get finished. Nothing will derail that. That is far more impressive to me, and it will stand the test of time. So it makes me proud, and it's an immense accomplishment. That's far bigger than leveling up in a video game. You can still level up after, and you can still do things, but it's like not making it the priority. That's what it is. It's like, what in the overall scheme of things, of your life, your purpose, the experiences we have, where does it sit? And for too many people right now, which is why I find it scary, and they don't have people of role models, you know, influencers or anything telling them that this is not healthy. They haven't got anyone telling them it. So they just keep investing in the wrong places. So when you've got a list of all the things you want to do, gaming for so many people is number one. And it's like, my God, that's so thick. It's stupid. It's like, you can do all these other things and still game. You can have a goal, a dream, a business idea, something you want to achieve, a big achievement. You can do that. That can fit in there. You can create a family of your own if you want children. You can do all that. You can have a relationship, get married. You can travel. Guess what? You can still play games. Maybe make it number 6 or something. You know, you can still fit it in. There's no reason you can't fit things in. You know, even when you've got children, even when they're really, really small, yeah, you get exhausted, and yeah, may have work. You may have different things. You can still find an hour or so. There's no way you can't. Everybody can find a little time. Um, but if you can't control it, then I say leave it alone. That's how I feel. If you can't control it, leave it alone, and then come back to it when you're a bit more healed, and you may be able to manage it. So that's how I can do it now. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't really consume me so much, just because I have bigger goals. You know, what would nag at me nowadays, what nags at me more than the gaming and all these things is actually me being productive. It'll be the next book concept, the thing I'm working on next. I've already created like manuscript for this. There's always works in progress now because my priority is always that. It's like that is my big goal for my life. And that's what I set out to achieve. Now, you know, I'm getting a bit fed up creating some content. Sometimes I feel inspired to do it. Sometimes I just get fed up because I feel like I'm bashing my head against the wall. I don't think the world's ready to listen to anything, in all honesty. I think humanity is toxic and destructive for the most part. So sometimes I want to help heal it. Other times I just give up and think I can't even be asked because you're just bashing your head against a wall. You know, no matter what you do, people don't listen. And even if they listen, they'll come up with an angle as to what's your angle, you know. Um, there's a famous boxer recently spoke about they wouldn't sell themselves for money in terms of like this Jake Paul shit. You know, and I'm off the same ilk. You know, I'm not interested in this influencer shit either. You know, they offer me money to collaborate and go fuck themselves. You know, that's just the way I am. Money don't buy me. It's just I'm not built on money. You know, I have higher morals than that, and that's kind of what they were getting at. And then they said that they're far more humble than that. And then I read comments, and it made me laugh. If people think they're smart or intelligent, when in all honesty they just pick sound bites and they act like they're intelligent and they try to create wisdom from it, and I'm like, you're an idiot. So that's what I thought. I couldn't bother to engage. I could have commented back, and someone said, "Humble people don't say they're humble," and a load of people started agreeing. I thought, you're an idiot. You could be humble and say you're humble because you're trying to explain it. If no one speaks about it, how the hell does anyone learn? How on earth can you express that you're humble? Because some people just have no awareness. So although you may exude humility, some people got their heads so far up their asses, they wouldn't even recognize it if it slapped them in the face. So unfortunately, when you're trying to educate and teach people, you have to actually point out the fact that you have humility and explain how you have that humility, because it's the only way you're going to get it into their head. So the idea that you the only way to have humility is to not talk about having humility, I think is thick as shit. And again, very transparent person. I am incredibly humble. And the way I'd explain that high humility is the fact that I see things from elevated perspectives through experiences and the fact that I want to improve my life. So I'm just a very calculating person and I'm a very observant person, very analytical. So I could gatekeep. I could keep everything I learned to myself, have a superiority complex, posture myself above other people, not wish to help, and I will not share it. I'll keep it all to myself, and then I can lord over people because I'd see through their vulnerabilities and I'd walk straight through them like a steam train. Because I can if I chose to. Because I recognize other people's weaknesses. I could be an asshole, couldn't I? I choose not to. Likewise, I have an ability to articulate things. I could get products. I've got Smarties for hints here, sweets. I have an Xbox controller. I could try and sell this shit to people. I could put it in your face and I could just keep trying to be a market seller like all these other TikTokers. Look at this product. You're going to need this shit. I don't sell myself for nothing. It won't happen. I don't do it. My morals are too high. I'm here to help people even if I gain nothing from it. Yes, it frustrates me because, in all honesty, I think I should be successful by now. I don't think I should be struggling as much as I am in life. Financially, it's a pain in my ass. Living to such a high standard in terms of my expectations, it's absolutely frustrating because I can't jump into relationships. I'd love to be in love. It's one of the things I want the most. I can't pick and choose it. You can't rush love. You know, otherwise you end up creating, again, I can talk on other experiences, but I'm not going to do it too much here. But then all you do is attract karmic situations. Guess what? They're tumultuous. It's another experience to learn from, another chaotic moment, all because you just wanted some affection and attention from someone. But the trouble is you're getting it from someone who maybe seems kind, seems nice, and they're absolute lunatics. Guess what? You're going to have to work your way through that chaos. And then by the end, it weren't worth the suffering. It weren't worth it, was it? The exciting beginning wasn't worth the chaotic ending. And so forget it. So my standards are that high that I actually make my life uncomfortable. And that's just what it is. So I don't get to live a comfortable life. I have a very highly ambitious mindset. I have incredibly high standards. So it means I actually suffer, I'd say more than most, because I don't get so many beautiful moments like other people. Someone could go through a lot of chaotic moments, but because they put themselves there, they can also have a lot of little beautiful moments. So you can keep having a fast-paced love, for instance. You can have a lot of those moments where it's steamy, it's exciting. I can't put myself in those situations because I just know the outcome all the time, and it's like, so I end up alone. It is what it is. I can't put myself in situations anymore that are toxic for me. So I can't just lose my mind to gaming for long periods, for sustained periods, because I have other things to achieve in my life now. I recognize where I want to be, and that ain't going to get me there, is it? So you don't get as many entertaining moments. You still have them in pockets of moments, but I've sort of given my life to really helping people. And it's not always going to be what they want to hear, but it's what they got to hear. And they might not hear it today. They might hear it tomorrow. They might hear it in the future. And I'm talking about it right now, why it's on my mind. And that's how I create my content. What do I think people need to hear? And what is on my mind today? And that's literally how I create. Before I go, there is something else I noticed. There's I think it's called Blue Sky, the new social media platform, or at least the newest social media platform. There'll always be something coming along. I joined there and I thought, you know what, I could do this. And straight away I got bored immediately. And now we're all at varying stages of our healing journey, our life cycle, what experiences we want. I'm at a stage where I'm not interested in a popularity contest. When you go on them platforms and you do it yourself. So like my first post was me promoting my books. And I was like, I don't like doing this shit. I don't like doing this. And then the other side is looking at other people's content and you know exactly how everyone's feeling because I've been there myself in the past. People will, for the most part, will comment on videos and content because they likewise want attention on their content. So it's just a vicious circle. No one's really interested in their content because they're too busy trying to get attention on their content. And it's like a merry-go-round of popularity contests. And first of all, I'm not interested in popularity contests. I don't care about attention in that sense. I don't need to be recognized. So there is that. I'm also at a stage in my life where I don't even have much interest in the present state right now of networking with people. In the past, I did, and I enjoy it when I want to do it. So I enjoy engaging with people and really getting like a community built. And then there's other times when I'm a bit more reclusive, a bit more reserved with my energy. And I'm like, I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with people right now. So at the moment, I'm at a stage where I'm more interested in just sharing my experiences, give people a different outlook on life, alter their mindset, really just trying to think from a different perspective. So I'm doing my best to help in a passive way rather than a direct healing way. So I'm not having to deal with people so much because in all honesty, people can drive me crazy because for the most part, they're unhealed. And the more you open your eyes to it, you realize how toxic the world is. And it's like, my God, I can't deal with this amount of people that are crazy, in all honesty. So when I see social media for the most part, I just see so much attention seeking that I'm like, I can't involve myself with this. So like I said, I really, really want to pull myself away from content creation for a bit. But I always get an idea in my mind and I have to talk upon it. And I know one day the right people will see it when they need to, when they're ready or not. I mean, it is what it is. I can only create it. I don't like promotion. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So it goes on the platforms and then gets lost amongst all the other content I create. But that's just the way it is. But hopefully some of the things I say will trigger people into healing and it's not always about agreeing what I say, but start a thought process, challenge yourself, start thinking a bit differently. Sometimes the best healing you can do is to put yourself outside of your body and look at it from all different directions. Because of course, we're all the center of our universe. We're the main character of our lives. And we of course, we deserve to be. But you can't ask people to be your pet. So if I want to, for instance, if I said, right, no one can expect to live to 80, but let's just use it as a guide. Let's say all I want to do is play video games. I don't even want to do anything else. That's all I want to do, as long as I possibly can. Then fine, if that's what you want to do. Look, who is anyone to say that's wrong? If that's what someone wants to do, but don't drag someone else's life into misery for you to fulfill that goal. That's what I'm getting at. If you want more for yourself, then you're going to have to find a way to limit the attention on the addiction, because You could say, well, in the future, I really want to achieve all this. And okay, so what are you doing in the present to achieve that? Oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to do that later. I guarantee you later won't happen. Because once you have that mindset of always distracting yourself and always putting things off, you'll always put things off. So if you're not taking an action today, then it's unlikely you're going to take an action tomorrow. Doesn't mean you won't, but it's unlikely. And it's up to us to build for our future. And that's kind of part of what I was getting through to the family member as well about the gaming. I said, look, if you're going to game, at least make it productive. You know, you can level up your Call of Duties, you can level up your games. It's just getting you nowhere, though. At least if you created some content off it, maybe you build a platform. Maybe you get your name known a little bit. Maybe you're building yourself up. Or maybe it starts to go towards some sort of creation you do later that has nothing to do with that, but you built towards it. But at least build something. At least do something, you know? But yeah, I see people all the time validate to each other. You know, like I say, I've seen videos where they've got people have a partner nagging at them for gaming, and other people are, I wouldn't put up with that. You know, get out of there, you know, or, you know, they put them in their place and all this shit. And it's like, well, you're not in their shoes. Again, it's all the gamers that just like patting each other on the back. It doesn't validate someone nagging at you, though, you know. So there's always sides to this. Sometimes you get someone who just never lets you be happy. So let's say you're in a relationship and every time you try to do something for you, the other person, all of a sudden now they want your attention, but they didn't want your attention before. But these are all like relationship dynamics, you know. It may be in that situation. It goes beyond gaming. It's just a dysfunctional relationship. It's toxic. It needs to have either it needs healing or it needs to be ended. So there's situations within that go beyond the gaming, but sometimes gaming's triggering. But in other times, the person's reaction is valid because if you're not giving them attention and you're prioritizing your relationship and your life towards something that really should just be a bit of entertainment rather than habitual, then there's a problem there, isn't there? Because the other person then has to live that lifestyle too. And it's like pretty shit, in all honesty. It is pretty shit. I wouldn't expect that of someone. With me, I wouldn't expect them to live like that at all. I would adapt my lifestyle to make, it's not about adapting my lifestyle for them. It's adapting my lifestyle to have the life that I seek. And it shouldn't be at their detriment. So I would minimize the gaming and then be more outgoing in the sense that I have other goals I want to achieve, which would align more with being with someone. So let's do these things, you know. And so it's not a case of being just a puppet, really, and allowing someone to walk all over you and then you do everything they want to do. That's not the case at all. It's give and take. If I give, then I expect in return. We work together. Let's make this a team. And if we're not going to be a team, then there's no point in us being together anyway. So if I have to continuously explain myself, that's a headache as well, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, that's pushing into the relationship dynamics. But people need to start looking at their life, think about what it is you actually want to achieve, and how the hell are you going to get there? Now, to each their own, but don't ruin other people's lives, you know, for your own toxic habits. Now, I can't remember if I've missed anything because of the previous video that got completely ruined. I may have missed important notes, which is frustrating. I'm really hoping I haven't. I hope I haven't deviated too far. Because the whole point isn't to berate someone. It's really to jolt them. Just give them a reality check and say, you can achieve a lot in this life. You can it doesn't have to be financial. You could be so happy. But you have to take the steps to get there and not allow things to become more significant than they are. That's all it is. Balance, balance, balance. You can have so many wonderful experiences, and it doesn't have to be sort of compounded by one that dominates all. You know, because the problem is gaming is it is an addiction. It's timeless. There's no end to it. You know, you can watch a movie. Maybe the biggest movie is like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Most movies are like an hour and a half. So you watch that. There's an end. The problem with gaming is there's no bloody end. So it's continuous, and you just lose sight of reality and time. And again, I think balance is everything. But the reality is, the main thing, as we sum up, is that we are accountable for ourselves. So someone might hear what I say and think, no, nonsense. What a load of trash. I ain't listening to him. By all means, do what you want. It doesn't faze me. I'm just speaking on it in the hope it helps the person who needs to hear it. If you don't want to hear it and you don't want to change your life, then by all means, to continue down the path you're paving and have the life that it results to, you know. It doesn't change my life. I'm still doing me. I'm still focused on uplifting myself and achieving my goals because I'm continuously healing. It's a decision. So you can either decide to heal or strive for a better balanced life where you're actually genuinely happy and you can do all those things. No one's saying you can't ever game again, but let's do it in moderation. Let's make it part of a balanced, healthy life. But again, if you don't want to do that, watch your life unravel around you and you just end up alone or fighting in arguments constantly, just completely stressed out of your mind, all because you couldn't find balance in your life. But again, doesn't change my life if someone wants to live like that. To each their own.